If this will work, I think we will then call it the Werlius effect. Hi, this is Luisa Heinzel, and this is a very, very spontaneous video because I just got an idea from one of my lovely viewers. Her name is Lena. She has written a comment below one of my past videos, and with this comment I got the idea for today's video. She has written, "Your chameleons are amazing, thank you very much for that," and she had a question. She said, "I bought some powder with color. It moves with spray of water. It is like magic powder. Would that be good for use instead of eyeshadow?" And she is still waiting for her frosted crystal to arrive. So what she was asking is regarding to my video, which is called Literally Touchable, where we turned little paper animals into textured friends for our junk journals. I will link that video, which she is talking about, down below this video for you, just in case you have missed that. And in that video, I have used this embossing powder, which is called Frosted Crystal. I have embossed some chameleons from my Come On Chameleon paper collection, and then I have added some eyeshadow, which was, sorry, I have forgotten to take that out from here to show it to you. It was this one here, which changes the color depending on the angle of the light. And she said she doesn't have this eyeshadow or no eyeshadow at all. And because of that, she talked about this powder, which you can activate with water. I'm totally not sure what powder that exactly is, but for example, there are these brush-o powders available. Perhaps you know those, which come in these little bottles, and then you spring, and that is dry. Yeah, similar. I would say similar to eyeshadow. I mean, the consistency, yeah? Don't put brush-os on your eyes, but it's a, watercolor pigment, I would say. And then you sprinkle that over your paper, spritz water, and then the color gets activated, and, you know, the whole thing is like magic. And I'm assuming that she talked about such a powder. I have replied to her comment because I am not so sure. And that brought me to this idea for this video. I'm not so sure if you take Frosted Crystal or any other embossing powder, emboss the whole thing, then it's, you know, the surface is like plastic, resistant, what is the word? Yeah, it's like a resist, and then water-based mediums can't dry on the surface. I'm not so sure how that is with Frosted Crystal, because Frosted Crystal is not completely smooth at the surface. That could work, and that's also what I replied to her. She just has to try that out. But what I then thought is, what if we take Frosted Crystal, or if you don't have that, clear embossing powder, or if you don't have that, a normal like colored embossing powder, or if you don't have that, embossing glaze. And what if we then take a stamp which has a pretty solid impression, like this here, for example. This is Brush Strokes CMS 293 by Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz. And what if we then apply embossing ink with the stamp to a paper, and then add the powder, but before embossing it with the heat tool, spritz something on it, which is a water-based medium. Can that work? I mean, what will we get if we do that? And if this works, and if this gives us something cool, then we will definitely call it the Werlius effect, because Lena's username is Lena Werlius 4195. So let's try this. Oh, we need an acrylic block, alternatively a stamping platform, but you know, please use what you have and what you like to use for stamping something like this. This tag here is just a distress tag by Ranger and Tim Holtz. I thought I want to use this material. This is from the mixed media heavy stock. You can also read that here on the package, mixed media heavy stock. That is this material which can handle a lot of wet mediums at the same time without problems for the paper. This is, I think, a really good material for this, because I'm planning to let the colors, I mean, if this works, I have no idea, run a little bit later. And I also want to try to reactivate the ink / the spray later to get a cool effect, but that is until now only in my mind. I have absolutely no idea if that can work or what we will get here, because this is something I have not tried out before starting recording this video. I've just turned on the camera because I thought that is the most interesting way also for you to see how something like this perhaps develops. But what I was trying to say is I would suggest to use a paper which can handle a lot of water. If you don't have this mixed media heavy stock, you can also try watercolor paper or something like that. That should work as well. So here is now my stamped impression with the embossing ink. And first I want to try the frosted crystal, because that was what Lena has talked about in her comment. And that was also the medium I used in my other video. So let's throw this on here. And yes, I know this is invisible now. What colors do we want? I think we are going to start with Stormy Sky. This is not embossed yet, yeah? So, oh, and my camera is not focusing. What is going on here? Oh, here we go. Sorry. So I want to spritz this on here. Perhaps like this? What do we think about this? I have no idea. Shall we add some of the oxide spray as well? I think so. And I'm hoping that this makes something in combination with the powder, which then in the end looks good. But I have absolutely no idea if if the stamp impression will stay so accurate like here when we now heat this up. But at first glance it looks like it looks good. I mean, this is really cool. Here there's only a little bit of the spray, and here it is pretty saturated. I think that is a good combination for the, I mean, a good way to compare later how this looks. So then let's take our heat tool, and I'm really wondering if I can already also take some water. Don't be confused, this is a distress spray stain bottle with water. It says tumbled glass, but it's just water. I'm wondering if I can spritz water to these areas at the same time while embossing this, because I don't like this speckly look there, but let's see. The challenge with the frosted crystal will now probably be, well. Let's first add the water. I mean, why not? And let's try to get it only around the stamped image and not so much on the frosted crystal, because, and that's what I just wanted to say, frosted crystal is an embossing powder which you should not overheat. That means if I now put the heat tool on here, it will take way longer to dry, to emboss, because obviously the spray needs to dry as well at the same time while while I'm so sorry, it's not so good, while the powder gets embossed. And that is probably not so good for the frosted crystal effect, because, you know, when you add frosted crystal to like a normal project, nothing like this wet, yeah, then you want to emboss that, but not too much, because otherwise it gets glossy and it loses this frosty look if you overheat the frosted crystal powder. Yeah. Ooh, that is very difficult, but let's see. I want to try to get it completely dry here around this area, and then let's try to get this embossed. Perhaps we can also do that from the back. Okay, I think now I got a little bit too much heat, but can you see that? I mean, this is, well, let's wait until it's really cool, otherwise this is perhaps a little bit not so realistic. More. Oh, it's dry. It's dry and embossed. And what I think is, I mean, this was the first try, yeah? I have never done this before, but what I think is, even with less heat or not so long embossing this, this would have worked, because this is already completely dry. I'm totally surprised, because I thought I need way more heat on here, or way longer heat on here to make this work. That is good. It's a little bit shiny here. That's because of too much heat, but I really, really like how this came out. I mean, what the heck? This is such a subtle background. I mean, this also feels really backgroundish. That is really cool. Can we then? Yeah, I think we can do that. Let's put a little bit of water to the mat. I'm sorry. And let's then take a splatter brush. Oh, this comes from a really dirty water, but that doesn't matter. This is a little bit brownish, but I don't care. I want to have some nice little water effects here. And now with the frosted crystal, I will not dry the water with my heat tool, just to avoid that the frosted crystal gets glossy. But what we can also try is, let's spritz the water to the frosted crystal as well, just to see if we will see this later as well. Can you see that? Here on the frosted crystal, there's also this water effect. I'm wondering if that will somehow go through it and then leave these little marks, which would be absolutely amazing, or if this would just disappear, because, you know, frosted crystal, it's an embossing powder, it's like plastic in the end. But we will see. I will put this aside. I'm totally amazed by this effect. I mean, what the heck? And also this, you know. Okay, so then what we also could try is to take another embossing powder instead of frosted crystal, because with for example, clear embossing powder, we can also remelt / overheat the powder without problems, which is, you know, not for the frosted crystal, as I just said. So let's take another one of these, and I think I'm going to take the same stamp, because then we can later on probably compare that pretty well. So let's apply the embossing ink. Oh, and perhaps, yeah, let's try something. I mean, nothing will happen with this. Let's try something. Let's first choose a color combination. Shall we use the same color combination? Oh, that would be boring. It would be good to compare, but it also would be a little bit boring. I will start with Stormy Sky. Let's first, before we stamp, add this here. Let's leave this like so. I don't want to add water, just dry this so that we get these little dots. Now I wish I had this area here. Oh no, because here it's like this, you know, this really cool watercolory effect. Let's add a little bit more here on the bottom, or we will turn the tag around. We could also do that. Okay, so then let's stamp this here and do a similar spot like on the first tag. And let's then use the clear embossing powder. Which color shall we spritz on here now? Let's take... This already looks so cool. I am a little bit afraid. I mean, this is an experiment, yeah, but I'm weird with experiments because I always think, if it works, then I can already do it, that I can use this experimental piece later in a journal, for example. And then I like to think more about the result design-wise than I would probably do if I would just do the experiment and then, you know, later on use this for die cutting or so, and just as a background or so. So this is Stormy Sky oxide spray. Ooh. I want to get this on here like, you know, little drops. That would be easier with a paintbrush. But let's see. But let's add another color as well. Let's perhaps add a little bit of frayed burlap oxide spray. It already reacts totally differently here on the powder. But that is good, because then we already know that there is obviously a difference. So then let's start to melt this. Let's add a little bit of water here where the frayed burlap is very saturated. Okay, here it's already, as you can see, starting to melt. And this way the embossing powder gets a color, obviously. Is this a way to color your clear embossing powder into whatever color you want? Oh no. Okay. I don't want to throw an F-bomb, but this was definitely not as successful as the other one was. Because, I mean, we have something here, yes, but it is definitely not what I want. You can see there where this glossy area is, that's there where the embossing powder is. But here, where the rest of the stamp impression should be, it's completely matte. Can you see that? And the embossing powder has obviously soaken into the paper. Why? Yeah. Okay. Let's make the best out of this so that we can still later on use this as a background. Let's try to remelt the powder just to make it a tiny little bit sticky. Throw a second layer of the clear embossing powder on here, just there where the first layer was, And you see, oh, here it even sticked to the areas where only the ink was. Here is not, this is not part of the stamp impression, but for a background, this is still okay, I would say. I just don't want to ruin this tag. I will quickly throw on more so that it gets really glossy. But I'm totally in love how this came out with the, can you see? I mean, what is this? When we look really close, can you see this edge where the embossing powder ends and here where the matte area is? I mean, you can only see it when I hold it like so. But when I turn it around, remember here is this edge. And we can clearly see that here where the embossing powder is, these watercolor effects are way more intense because the embossing powder intensifies these areas. And I'm totally in love with how that turned out here, for example. I mean, look how cool that is. That is just amazing. And I'm just wondering, since this is a resist now, can we perhaps try to take something else, spritz that on here, and then dry it? And what will then happen with these little drops, because perhaps I should show you that before drying it. If you have never seen that, then you perhaps don't know what I'm talking about. Look, here are these little drops. I will not touch that with my finger now because then I would smear everything. But can you see all of these drops? They are sitting on the embossing powder now. And because the embossing powder is so like plastic and it's not porous, the ink can't go into that. So here, obviously, the paper is soaking the medium, but here it's sitting on the embossing powder. And I'm wondering, when I now dry this and at the same time remelt the powder here, what will then happen? I mean, can we then embed that there somehow? This feels similar to this glossy rust effect I have shown you with the embossing powder and acrylic paint. But I guess it will turn out not so, on the one hand, not so rusty, and on the other hand, not so, yeah, this is more delicate, I would say. I mean, look how the oxide spray came out here. I mean, what the heck? Look, these little dots. I will show you them before I touch them, but how crazy is that? I mean, perhaps, has someone done this before? I mean, I'm not so sure. Oh, okay. It's coming off a little bit. A little bit more. Perhaps I should have added another layer of powder while this was still sticky. I will try to go over the embossed area now. Oh, wait. Let's do that here. Here I haven't touched it yet, so we have still the chance to see if it works. Well, let's do something. Let's remove this here so that it is not smeared. What if we now take this again? And do this again. Why are the drops now so different? I guess because I have already touched it with the paper towel, because I mean, look, this looks totally different now than before. Give me please a little bit of water. Okay, it's different, but I think we can see if the technique works, even if the result will then be different. So what I'm going to do is I take this, I dry this. With that, I'm obviously going to remelt the powder, and then I want to try to add another layer of the clear embossing powder. Now we have way more of the powder sticking here because not everything was dry yet, but for this experiment I think that doesn't matter. Oh, it's even good. I mean, look. Oh, okay. But how to know if this is... Yeah, well, but it must be. It must be permanent there now because we have added the spray first and then the powder. So let's take a fresh spot here from the paper towel just to test that. A little bit is coming off. Yeah, but the rest is on here. I'm wondering what happens if I now take something completely different in color. Let's take the Wild Honey spray stain. So I'm trying to remelt the powder. At the same time the spray stain starts to dry. Okay, I need to... look what happened here. Okay, the spray stain here was obviously still pretty wet, but that doesn't matter. We will emboss this and with that dry the spray. It's starting to bubble a little bit, like with this glossy rust effect, but that's okay, I think. Why not? What do we think about this? This is probably not what it's for sure not what I was expecting or what I thought, because, you know, from this first round where this original thing which we did here went totally into another direction, from there we got this. Yeah, it's not what I originally wanted to do, but I really like this. In the meantime, this is also dry. And we can see that the water has even impacted the embossed area here. Can you see that? I mean, that is cool. Even here, where we had these tinier drops, we can still see those. I mean, it's really subtle, yes, but we can see them. What we could try, after we are really happy with this, what we could try now is the ultra thick embossing powder. So I will quickly prepare a background like I've done it here with this watercolor effect with the stormy sky, for, you know, that we have something in the background. But here I want to use a different color. Let's take Crackling Campfire spray stain. And stamp this with the embossing ink. And let's then add the ultra thick embossing powder instead of the normal one. And as you can see, if you don't know this powder, this is way thicker, meaning I'm hoping that it will not soak into the paper now when there's something else which is wet on top, because that is what hindered me to get this effect I wanted on the tag we just made a second ago. So let's take some wild honey spray stain. And let's also try the frayed burlap oxide spray. Wait. What if we wait now a few minutes? What if we let this spray dry for a few minutes and then emboss it? I mean, if we then emboss it from the top, it could happen that the powder flies away. But what if we let this dry and emboss it then from the back? I will go away for 5 minutes and then we will try that. 5 minutes will be not enough to let this dry completely, but perhaps it helps that there's a little bit of this moisture then, away, so that this doesn't happen what happened on the other tag. Let's try that. I'm back. It's approximately 5 to 10 minutes later. So let's try to emboss this. And I can still do it from here. That is pretty good. I mean from the top. That means it will not take so long. Wait. Let me take this. But perhaps it's trotzdem. Trotzdem? That is German. It's also a good idea to... Yeah. I have the feeling it works better when you emboss it from the back. Not only faster, but also somehow better. And what I now also want to do is I want to quickly add another layer. I mean, what I like the most about this is that the colors here are pretty extreme. They are really vibrant, and here they are a little bit more subtle around the stamped impression, and that makes this thing into a really nice background spot for a focal point. Imagine we would take, for example, something in mind which I still have here on my tray. I mean, this is probably absolutely the wrong color. But imagine we would have something like this around here. I mean, for the Chameleon journal, this would even work perhaps somehow. But then we would have some, because, the Chameleon journal is really, really colorful, and these colors would totally fit to that. But now we have something here in the background, which is glossy, which makes it into, with this thing already a focal point, I would say. And imagine we had, for example, a little flower or a little chameleon. I'm talking about chameleons because of my journal, I will probably put these tags into my Chameleon journal. But whatever journal you have, take the theme of the journal and think about a focal point and just place that, for example, here, and you have the perfect background here. And at the same time, the same colors and the same effect somehow in the background. It's really cool, even if it is not 100% what I originally had in mind. But that is experimenting. I mean, what is this? This is just playing around. And because of that, it's totally fine that it is like here, like it is here. But what if, I mean, I like this, and you could obviously leave this like it is. But what if we now, first, let's try Fossilized Ember Spritz and Forest Moss Oxide Spray. No. Oh no, it's my clogged bottle. Oh, missed. Let's do it like this. And I'm really excited about the reaction we will get here now with the ultra thick embossing powder, because obviously this takes way longer to remelt. Let's perhaps even add more of the forest moss while this is, need to be fast, while this is still wet. Woo! Oh no. That was not such a good idea. Okay, that soaks immediately into the thing. It was really crazy. I don't know if you could see that in the camera now. That was probably not such a good idea. But I want more of these little dots. And I will also, to make 100% sure that it will stay there, add another layer of the embossing powder, just to make sure that it doesn't come off with the paper towel. Holy cow. If this is not chameleon-ish, I don't know what else we could do to make the perfect background for a chameleon journal. It looks really like skin somehow, like, you know, the skin of a chameleon. Think about a galaxy with, you know, probably not with this red, but other colors that could also work for example, a galaxy journal. This is really crazy. I mean, if you think we have started with this, which is already really cool and which gives really a lot of possibilities to, yeah, think about further techniques with the frosted crystal, because obviously this is matte and this is glossy. I mean, the surface is totally different and you would probably do different things with this or with this. But it started from here, went over this, which is already obviously already not what I had in mind here, but it went further. And with this, we have, I think, found the better medium with a thick embossing powder. But what I'm trying to say is it's all about experimenting and it's all about playing. So see you the next time and have a great playing time on your own craft desk. Bye bye.